Hey guys, Fire Dragon back here again, and I know I've touched on Irlen syndrome before already in one of my previous videos, but I wanted to show you guys some of the distortions that people like me who have Irlen syndrome can see. And I've definitely seen this one, Halo, where like the words kind of overlap on each other. It's really, really crappy to have that. And if you don't know what Irlen syndrome is, it is a visual perception disorder, and it's not really well known or talked about as much as I would like it to be, because it's often discredited as just being dyslexia. I was labeled as being dyslexic. Not saying you can't have dyslexia and still have Irlen syndrome. You can, but for years I was mislabeled as being dyslexic, and I wasn't. So yeah, Halo is one of those things that you can see. Kind of crappy that you can see that things overlap like this. Not very good. Not good to be able to read with that. Not at all. Also, I'm making this video because I finally found this, which, if you guys don't know what this is what I used before I got my glasses, because I have my glasses now, but it is an overlay. I have a blue one somewhere, and I don't know where it went, but this is the purple one, and it's like kind of like old and dingy because I did not take good care of it. But yeah, if you can't afford glasses because they're really expensive, I highly suggest getting the overlays. You can get tested by an Irlen's tester. I know it's kind of hard to find them, but you'd have to find them like online by searching Irlen's testers in like your state and whatnot, because it is not as well known as I would like it to be. But that's why I'm making this video. So yeah, there's like these overlays you can get. Pretty inexpensive to get the overlays. Another distortion, though, would be this one, which is more commonly known as Star Wars, where it kind of looks like, you know how Star Wars letters go up like that? Cool to see on the screen for Star Wars, but if you're reading, again, not so cool because it makes it a little bit hard to catch up stuff. And yes, people actually see this distortion. I'm not just making this up. I will link the Irlen's website down below so you guys can check that out, because I do think it's very important to kind of raise awareness for stuff like this that's not well known. And seeing as I have it, why not? So yeah, this is the Star Wars one. You know, cool to see on the screen for Star Wars when I'm reading it. Even I still have like some trouble reading that in the theaters, and I don't even have the I don't really usually see this distortion too much when I'm reading. And this is just like touching on basic distortions that people have seen. This isn't even touching on all of the distortions. There's like a crap ton of different distortions. There's like 5 or 6 different ones that I'm more so aware of, but like when I printed that one out, it didn't show up too well on camera. So yeah, we're gonna have these ones here. So I'm gonna move on to the next one underneath, which is also a fun one. And this distortion is called seesaw effect. So you kind of see the words kind of jump all over the page. So that's also not fun. Also very distracting when reading. Some people can actually see the words kind of like come in on each other. Sorry. I feel so bad about that. I didn't mean to knock that over. Forgot that my hands are placed a little bit too close to my camera, and I'm very like talkative with my hands, so that's a problem on my part, not on your guys' part. I'm so sorry I knocked the camera over. I feel like a goofball now. But yeah, seesaw is another distortion. It's another effect that a lot of people see. Kind of irritating, really annoying. I have seen this one as well when like I've stared at the page for too long when I was trying to read, trying to figure out like where I was, catching up with my place. A lot of people who have Irlen syndrome tend to use their finger to kind of follow along when they're reading. Really annoying, because like I got made fun of it in school. People would be like, "Can't you read faster? What's wrong with you? Why can't you read?" And like I'm probably going to do another video later on show the difference of me reading with my glasses, me reading without my glasses. I've had these glasses for 3 years. I really should get retested, but I don't have the money for that right now, so I'm holding out with my 3-year-old glasses. They still work. I can still read, but I'm starting to notice that my reading's starting to get a little bit slower, more so than it used to be, so that's something I'm going to set money aside for later on down the road. But for right now, I wanted to share the different distortions and stuff like that, and also some symptoms, because like I've shared symptoms in the past videos, but yeah. Some symptoms of Irlen syndrome are going to be a big one to look out for is light sensitivity. If you have trouble being in light for too long and you like a dark, dark room, or you like to read in the dark, you most definitely probably have Irlen syndrome. That is a definite sign of it. Poor depth perception is another thing. Like, you can't really judge distance too well. You have trouble catching balls, have trouble, judging where an object is going to be before it falls. That's another thing, is poor depth perception, which really makes it hard to drive. I know I struggled with that. Eye strain is another big one that I've struggled with in the past. I was always rubbing my eyes, always, touching my nose, the tip of my nose, where my eyes come in to meet, trying to rub that to feel better. Again, ADD is another one. Attention deficit disorder is also commonly found with this. So, yeah, that's another big thing to look out for if you're ADD, having a hard time focusing on the page, because, again, the light sensitivity, making it hard for you to read and hard for you to see the page, because people with Irlen syndrome, when they look at a white page, we tend to see a lot of glare against that page just because of how our brains are, because it is a problem that is within the brain of being overactive and too overstimulated due to this disorder. Another one is contrast and color sensitivity. Do you have a hard time looking at different colors, especially like bright neon colors? I really have a hard time with, or had a hard time with at the time. I still have a hard time looking at them with my glasses, but it's not as bad. So that's another thing to look out for. Restricted span, and by that it's kind of like span of vision and whatnot, like you have a harder time seeing things because you're trying to over-focus on the page at hand and like your work at hand and other stuff, which is why it made it hard for me as an artist or even a musician, because it made it hard for me to read music and read it properly. I can do better now, but for a long time I could not read music when I was in choir as well as I probably should have been able to, doing it for quite a few years. Inefficient reading, again, is another thing. Like, you have a hard time reading, you stutter when you're reading, you stop when you're reading, you pause and or you lose your place and you skip a line, because that's happened to me. I've skipped lines many a time, which is why I used to use my finger all the time to kind of keep track, kind of like this, to kind of follow along with the page. That way I wouldn't lose my place. And another one is, again, the distortions. So that's another thing that is big with this disorder. And again, yes, I will link the website down below. It's much more helpful. They have some videos on it. You can find some other videos on YouTube I know that I've seen. There's not as many as I would hope there would be, because I do want this to become more well-known. I want this to kind of be a thing that people are more aware of. I hate how doctors discredit it, because there's 30-plus years behind it. Kind of shitty that a doctor would be like, oh, by the way, we just think your kid's dyslexic, ADD, or whatever else they want to label you as, because, excuse me, sorry, didn't mean to knock the camera again. And this is what helps. It helps when you have, hold on, I gotta fold this, otherwise you guys aren't gonna see it. So give me a second. So yeah, this is what it's called, the Irlen spectral filters for people with Irlen syndrome, which is what I have. I have colored lenses. I'm going to take them off, actually, and kind of show you that, yeah, they're colored. That's what they are. They're kind of like a tinged kind of color, kind of like slightly tinted. Hold on. This might make it easier for you guys to see it. So yeah, they're kind of like a brownish, kind of mauve-y color, which is fine. I can't read with them off right now, but yeah, I'm going to put them back on. So, because you can have reading and learning difficulties without them that can be helped, such as dyslexia, ADD, ADHD, autism spectrum disorder can be helped with this, light sensitivity, headaches and migraines, as well as fatigue. So having your filters can really help. Also, having known that filters aren't always the best, aren't always the most right option right off the bat, because they can be very expensive. And I've mentioned how expensive I believe it was in my last video, which I'll link down below as well. So you guys can check out both of these videos and the website. So, yeah, it's not cheap, but again, there's always the overlays, which are very inexpensive, because sometimes you can get colors, because for colored overlays, you either get 1 color, 2 color, or sometimes I think even 3 colors, I think is the most they really go up to for that, because once you start going into more colors, it turns it darker, is what it does. So my purple and blue combined make it like kind of like a nice dark kind of purple for me to be able to read the page when I don't want to use my glasses, but I always wear my glasses. So, and also it gets pricier if you have prescription. I don't have a prescription. I have 20/20 vision. I just have the visual perception disorder, thankfully, but for those of you who have prescriptions, it can be a little bit pricier, which is why some people will just get, again, the overlays, because they don't want to fuss with their prescription, because I've said this in a past video, but I'm going to say it again. When you have your Irlen lenses being made for you, you have to go get your prescription, get your lenses, make sure they have blank glass that doesn't have the prescription on it. You have to have the prescription separately on a piece of paper. And then they test you for your color, and then once they know your color, they send your color, your prescription, and your glasses frames off to go tint your lenses for you, because they have to do the tinting and the prescription all in their lab in order for it to come out right, or it's not going to work. And that's a frustrating thing of it, but it's very important to get it done right than to not have it at all, if you want to go that route. If you don't want to go that route, I would say get your glasses regularly, regular prescription filled, and then get the overlays, and you can be good, and you can be done with that. That's all I wanted to really cover in this video, was kind of showing you guys some of the distortions. I know a lot of people aren't well aware of this, and I want people to be more well aware of this, because it's important to me. It's important to me to be able to help other people who are suffering with this and probably don't even know it. It's important for me to want to maybe raise money for this later down the road. I would like to do that in a charity stream. I haven't figured that all out yet, but I would love to do that, because I've suffered with it for so long, and I don't want other people to suffer with it. I don't. I'm sorry I'm getting emotional here, but it's just in my nature. So, but yeah, as always, I will see you guys in my next one, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!